There was a seemingly mundane archaeological discovery in Uzbekistan, and I want to talk about it, and I want to talk about why this discovery gives me a little bit of hope that we will someday find ancient civilizations as a whole that are now lost to us, now lost within. I hate to use the cliche, within the sands of time, because I think that this discovery does have little wrigglings around the edges of why a discovery like that may have evaded us to this point, and one of the reasons why I think there is an ancient civilization with technology. I'm not talking about microwaves and spaceships, but with technology that was passed down that has yet to be located. So let's get into it. Lost Silk Road Discoveries in Uzbek Mountains by Kelly Ing from the BBC News. The discoveries were made possible with a remote sensing tool known as LiDAR, which uses reflected light to create 3D mappings of the environment. This is going to be absolutely monumental in archaeology, and I hope that we start seeing this deployed more and more often. Archaeologists have found the remains of two medieval cities in the grassy mountains of eastern Uzbekistan, a discovery that could shift our understanding of the fabled Silk Road. Known for the exchange of goods and ideas between the East and West, the trade routes were long believed to have linked lowland cities, but using remote sensing technology, archaeologists have now found at least two highland cities that sat along the key crossroad of the trade routes. One of the cities, Tugunbalak, that's exactly how that's said, don't question me. A metropolis spanning at least 120 hectares sat more than 2,000 meters, 6,600 feet above sea level. The history of Central Asia is now changing with this finding, said archaeologist Farhad Maksudov, who was a part of the research team. The team believes Tungunbalak and the smaller city Tashbalak were bustling settlements between the 8th and 11th centuries. Between the 8th and 11th centuries, I think that this is key towards some of the talking points for this video. During the Middle Ages, when the area was controlled by powerful Turkic dynasty, by a powerful Turkic dynasty, only 3% of the world's population live above this altitude today. Lhasa in Tibet and Cusco in Peru are among the rare examples. The discovery of Mr. Muskatov, director of Uzbekistan's National Center of Archaeology, and Michael Fraschetti, an archaeologist at Washington University in St. Louis. Very big rivals with where I got my master's degree, and I can't stand anyone that comes from there. Not because of the rivalry, but because all of my professors came from there, and they were dunces. Was made possible with drones and remote sensing tool known as LiDAR, which uses reflected light to create three-dimensional mappings of the environment. Their research was published in the scientific journal Nature this week, and experts who are not involved have hailed its significance in shedding light on the lifestyle of nomadic communities. The team discovered the sprawling metropolis of Tungunbalak based on a tip-off from a local official. Word of mouth right there. Local legend. The first team, just like Göbekli Tepe, the first discovered Tashbalak, the smaller city in 2000. The team first discovered Tashbalak, the smaller city in 2011, while tracking in the mountains. They found burial sites, thousands of pottery shards, and other signs that the territory was populated. Historical records include cities in the region, he said, but the team did not expect to find a 12-hectare medieval city some 2,200 meters above sea level. We were kind of blown away, said Mr. Fraschetti told the BBC. Even trekking up there was rough, he added, as they encountered strong windstorms and logistical challenges. 4 years later, a local forestry administrator tipped off the team to study another site to study another site close to Tashbalak. The official said, I think I have some of those kinds of ceramics in my backyard. So we went to his house and discovered his house was built on a medieval citadel. He was living on a huge city, Mr. Fischetti said. The most challenging part of these discoveries was in convincing the academic community that these cities existed. Yeah, convincing the academic community that these cities existed. That is a struggle that we are all having with the ideas of the ivory halls of academia. We would say to people that we found this amazing site, and we would get skepticism that maybe it's not so big, or it's just a mound or a castle. That was the big challenge, how to document this city scientifically to actually illustrate what it was, Mr. Fischetti said. LiDAR imaging allowed the team to unveil walls and other architectural features of Tugunbalak. In 2022, the team returned with a drone equipped with a LiDAR sensor, which helped peel back the surfaces to unveil walls, guard towers, intricate architectural features, and other fortifications in Tugunbalak. The researchers suggest that communities may have chosen to settle into Gunbalak and Tashbalak to tap strong winds to fuel fires needed to smelt iron ores. Very interesting. Which the region was rich in. Preliminary excavations have also uncovered production kilns. This suggests it is a technological outsite. It is somewhere from whence the community would import those iron ores. They would send people out to create and then import the goods. Whoever had iron in their hands in medieval times was very powerful, Mr. Maxidov said, but this could have also led to the community's downfall, he said. This area used to be covered by a thick juniper forest, but these could have been cut to facilitate iron production. The area became environmentally very unstable because of the flash floods, because of the avalanches, he said. Typically, scholars have so this is also climate changing, leading to disaster, which does alter a civilization. Typically, scholars have it, and I'm not getting political with that. This is something we're going to be talking about in just a moment. Typically, scholars have expected to find evidence of settlements lower down in the valley. So these finds are remarkable, said Peter Frankopan, a global history professor at Oxford University. What an amazing treasure trove that shows the deep interconnections crisscrossing Asia, as well as the links between the exploitation of natural resources more than a millennium ago, he said. High-altitude urban sites are extraordinarily rare in the archaeological record because the communities face unique challenges in settling there, said Zachary Sylvia, an archaeologist at Brown University. The team's work provides an immense contribution to the study of medieval urbanism in Central Asia, he wrote in a commentary on Nature. I highlighted that this type of site is extremely rare because I think that does also contribute to the conversation I would like to have. The civilizations that they found, the pockets of civilization that they found, the outposts that they found were civilizations between civilizations. They were cities between big places. They were settlements between societies. A type of outpost city, if you will. Now, it is extremely rare to find a civilization like this because it is unlikely to stand for long. It was likely not well fortified, and it was likely not a long-standing outpost, so there wasn't enough stuff there to be buried by hundreds of years of anything, hundreds of years of whatever you want, sediment, etc., and still have enough stuff left over to be found eventually. Because of this, the sometimes necessary process of a civilization paving over the old stuff to preserve it, incidentally, not in order that, but preserving it against the sands of time simply does not happen. Look at a lot of the discoveries that are happening in Rome in the last few years. You're finding things that were under buildings. No one had any idea that under their basement there was an opening, there was a hollow, and it was a place that was used for worship during Roman times. It was a bath during Roman times, whatever the situation may be. We don't get that with these small outpost cities because they are in places that even today are difficult to settle and uncomfortable to live. The article suggests that these high land settlements were made in order to facilitate technology, the technology of iron ore. This is what gives me pause about writing off an ancient civilization that we don't know about, saying, hey, there's no great civilizations that we have yet to discover because we would have discovered them. There was nothing before the cradle of civilization because, why would it be? Except that Göbekli Tepe definitely was before that. Göbekli Tepe arose during a time where we are told, and still told in the ivory walls of academe, that people were hunter-gatherers. That was all. There were no settlements to be had, not permanent ones. We are meant to believe, therefore, that humans suddenly emerged from the Ice Age with the ability to write. Something doesn't add up. It is my estimation that older forms of writing did exist, but do no longer. Perhaps they were something as temporary as blood on parchment. When you look at what we are doing today, should our civilizations crumble, the future would know very little of what we're doing now. The bits, the zeros and ones that we use to save all of our data today, all of our writing and technology today, is unlikely to survive. That technology is unlikely to survive a dark age and be usable in the next civilization. If a civilization arises that takes a different technological path than ours, these are just fancy-looking rocks. They are ways that we had shaped different materials in our time, but they are not forms of technology. The Egyptian... So here's a sticking point for me for this type of thought process. The Egyptian god Thoth, is often credited as emerging from the primordial waters, fully formed, and having created himself. Thoth was the god of writing. This suggests to me, if we are to read into that mythos, that the Egyptians did not have an accounting for the advent of writing technology in their civilization. They said, basically, it's always been here. Writing was formed by a formless creature that created himself, that rose from the primordial waters of noon, fully formed, and had writing with him. We don't know where it came from, baby. We just have it. I think that discoveries like the ones in Uzbekistan in this article are going to open the eyes of the academe to saying, okay, well, if there were large civilizations, large technological civilizations, technology doesn't mean microwaves, technology doesn't mean electric cars, technology means a way of leveraging one's work to create more than otherwise he would be able to by his hand. That there were technologies, technological civilizations prior to the great ones that we have. It's hard for me to believe that we rolled the dice of civilization and one of the first ones that came up was Egypt. As fully formed as it was, as impressive as it was, I think that there was stuff before Egypt. Maybe not as great as Egypt, but stuff nonetheless. And it will be through, I think, satellite discoveries, not satellite in the sky discoveries, but satellite discoveries like the discovery of these satellite cities in Uzbekistan that were small civilizations that are teaching us things about archaeology that will be the key to unlocking where those civilizations, that ancient civilization, that ancient technological civilization may have been and when it may have been lost.